All right, now where are you from?
Picayune, Mississippi. That's the last town on I-59 before you hit New Orleans. We're right next to New Orleans, about 30 minutes away.
That's not where you were born, right? You were born in Oregon, I thought.
Yeah, born in Corvallis, Oregon.
Okay.
I lived there for about 11 years and I moved down here, but I got my roots and stuff from Mississippi. So.
Now, what was the reason for the move?
Well, I was a problem child, man. I caused a lot of trouble, and it got to the point where it was kind of hard for my mother to control me. And at the time, my dad had left, and I didn't see him for like maybe 3 or 4 years. My mom had got remarried, and some stuff happened. My stepdad that she got remarried to clicked out one day, came, kidnapped her, held a gunpoint. Police ended up killing him. It was a big hostage situation.
Killed the stepdad?
Yeah, killed my stepdad. That was after me not even knowing who my real dad was for a few years. You know what I'm saying? To me, that stepdad was my real dad. You know, but yeah, the police ended up killing him. My mom got away. It's crazy because he kidnapped her and brought her to my grandma's house in Oregon, probably like, I want to say about, it was probably maybe 30, 40 miles away, and held her hostage out in a barn, dragging her by, held through dog poop and beating her up real bad. Just got drunk because she was about to divorce him. So after all that happened, I'm going in and out of boys' homes and mental institutions and stuff, and my mom just couldn't control me no more. So she found my grandma, and my grandma tracked down my dad and sent me to Mississippi. Did you eventually meet your real biological father? Yeah, I grew up with my biological father, but he left when I was about seven years old. Him and my mom got a divorce, and he moved out of town. But after the stepdad incident, did you reconnect with your father? Yeah, that's what happened. Like I said, once that happened, it made me, I took it the worst out of all the kids. There's 4 of us, but I guess because my younger brother was too young to really understand what was going on. I was right at that age where it was real pivotal, and I just started getting bad, man. So my mom tracked down my dad and found him, and it was just supposed to be me that moved down to Mississippi first. I was going in and out of my boys' home. My mom just couldn't control it, so a few months later, she sent all the kids, man. She couldn't do it. She went through some crazy stuff, man. How are you with your mom today? I love her. That's my heart. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, yeah. She was able to get herself back right? Yeah. Yeah. How long did it take? It took a while. My mom went through a lot of phases. We grew up a lot of different ways because of things that we went through. But she took a little while. Probably 2 or 3 years, you know what I'm saying? She eventually got that right. So you lived with your grandmother in Mississippi? When I first moved to Mississippi, I lived with my grandma, and then we ended up moving out and getting a trailer. I see. So when did you get back with your mother? My mom moved down in 2 weeks. She moved to Mississippi. Well, she left Oregon and she went to New Mexico. She was living there for a little while. I still didn't see her. I had went like, when I moved to Mississippi, I went years without seeing my mom, like literally. She moved to New Mexico. She used to come visit us every now and again, but 2 weeks before Hurricane Katrina, she came down and she moved to Slidell, and then Katrina hit and wiped her whole house away. 2 weeks later, as soon as she got here. So, but when that happened, I gave her my house, everything in it. I said, you can have everything here. I'm gonna take my clothes, and I moved to Atlanta. That was 2007, 8, right after Katrina. Did you witness domestic violence between your mom and your stepdad when you were growing up? I didn't. The violence when I was growing up was more so with me. My dad was a drinker, and he used to take it out on me. He wasn't gonna take it out on his baby girls, you know. So he gave it to me pretty rough. So that stepdad incident,
that caught you off guard, that surprised you when it all went down?
What when he got killed?
Yeah, because he dragged your mother by the hair. And
what was crazy, he came and kidnapped her from the house where we were. At the time, it was like 2:30 in the morning. Me and my sister in their sleep. We didn't even know what happened. The next day, a friend of the family came over there and told us what had happened and the fact that he died. I broke down in this funeral because this was my father figure, man.
Right.
At the time,
So I can imagine you were pretty confused as a kid around that time on trying to figure out what was really going on.
And he was a social worker too. That's the crazy part about it. He made money off of telling people how to behave.
And he did the opposite.
He did the opposite.
Love is a crazy thing. It can make people do some crazy things too. Now, okay, so growing up, was it safe to say you had a rough upbringing?
I did. It was real rough. When we moved to Mississippi, like I said, we moved in with my grandma, and we all shared the same room. My dad, and my brother, we all stayed in the same room, little old bitty room, man, and everybody snoring in there. And that was pretty much my whole high school years. Like we stayed a couple of places, but we couldn't really keep them, hold them down. So we bounced them around.
Was that your roughest moment? Was the stepdad incident? Or did you have a more rough moment than that growing up?
I don't know if the actual incident was as rough as going that long without seeing your actual parents. That duration that I went without seeing my dad, it changed me so much, and the person who I became was just, it's crazy. It's crazy just not having that father figure around, what that can do to a young boy, and I was just acting out, so.
I see. When you were in school, how hard was that for you? What type of student were you in school?
School was a relief for me, because I was accepted in school. I was popular.
Oh.
I did a lot of sports in school.
Football?
I played football. I played some football, mainly basketball, track. But it was just an outlet for me, because my dad was real strict at the time. So, anytime you can go and release yourself from what's going on at the house, school was cool to me.
I would think that somebody dealing with all those problems at home, school can be tough, and you might eventually drop out.
Nah, he wasn't going for that. Nah, he wasn't going for that. I'm dropping out.
Were you working on beats and doing the production thing while you were in school?
I wasn't. What I was doing was I was playing for a church. I was playing for a church called Trinity Outreach Ministries, and they had a keyboard there where you can make a beat on it. But you got to play each sound out like 4 minutes a piece, and you got to put them together. Ain't no quantization on it. Ain't no loops. And I made 2 of them. I remade that Murder, Kill that Mac did.
Okay. And
another beat, like original beat. And at the time, my cousin who was playing ball, he was home from, I think, for All-Star Weekend. He heard it. I showed him the beats. He was like, man, I'm going to start a record label. He said, you're going to be my beat man. And I could sing to it a little bit, so he was like, hey, I'm going to make you my Nate Dogg. You're going to do the hook. So, I thought he was, I ain't going to say I thought he was joking, but a couple weeks later, my other cousin, 240, shout out to 240, he came and was like, man, did you see all that equipment Jonathan got for you? I'm like, nah. So he took me to New Orleans, and he had just bought a mansion down there. And the only thing in the whole mansion was a studio he got me. Put me in the studio. I had to teach myself how to work all that stuff, man. But that's basically how I got started making beats.
Now, did you graduate high school?
I didn't. Once he got drafted, I ain't gonna lie, man. He got drafted straight out of high school, man, and we started doing that music stuff, and it was like, come back and go to school or stay up here in Indiana, drive these Phantoms and Ferraris, and you know, I had to come back and get it. I think it was a credit or something like that, and I didn't. I wouldn't advise any other, you know, kids to do that, but it was a good thing it didn't, you know, too much count against me, you know what I'm saying?
So what year did you drop out of high school? 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th?
Yeah, my last year, 12.
You're almost done.
Yeah, I was almost done. You know, but another thing what it was, my school switched over to uniforms that year. And so we had to, like, we had never wore uniforms before, so it was like, is put a uniform, go back, or keep doing this. And, you know, it should have been some older OGs tell me to go back, but man, we was living a life that you know, a lot of people don't get to live.
So what was your parents or your guardian thinking at that point when you made that decision to drop out?
I guess he felt like I'm basically grown, you know. He didn't do too much about it.
Mm. Ever thought about getting a GED, or not even really a big deal to you?
Yeah, yeah, eventually. Mm-hmm. I went and tried it, but it's just time, man. It's you gotta have time. You gotta take time out to do it. Mm. Time limited right now.
So no thoughts on college? None of that?
Eventually, maybe one day. But not right now.
So after you drop out, is music taken seriously at that point, or?
Yeah.
Or was there some space between you dropping out and then music being serious?
Well, music pretty much became serious as I dropped out. Once I found out what I wanted to do, I kind of made that my number one priority, and just ran with it. Mm-hmm.
Looking back, was that the right decision? Or do you wish you would have stayed in high school, finished high school, got the diploma?
Sometimes, but then I mean, I look at my teachers, I ain't gonna say all my classmates, but most I make more money, you know. I make more money than a lot of people who I know went to school for 8 years, man. And I work for myself, right? Multiple businesses. And I don't think they teach you that in college. I don't think they want to teach you that in college. You have to go seek that in college to learn entrepreneurship, but they want to teach you how to go work for other people, man. They just ain't me.
Now, what do you say to somebody watching this interview? Let's say it's a kid in high school, and they have a passion for music, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a producer like yourself. There's plenty of industry positions in music: rapper, DJ, engineer, singer, whatever. Somebody that has a passion for music. They're a kid in high school is about to end, they got to make the next decision in their life. Do you tell that person go straight into music industry, music business, or do you tell a person if they can continue their education, do that and music at the same time?
Yeah, definitely going back looking on. There's other traits and skills I could have learned, but you also know you never know what makes you you. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of things that I went through in my life made me who I am, and I think that the same situation would unfold with the next person if they feel like they could succeed better going to school. That's just, you know, that's them. That's their route. You know, I was good in school. I made A's and B's. You know, at school wasn't a problem at all. I'm very smart in school. I wanted bigger than when I was finna go to college. I didn't want to go get a trade and make me $2,000-3,000 a month. You know, I didn't want to do that. So I worked a little harder toward my own dreams. You know.
Jobs you had growing up, if any?
I didn't have any. I had, let's see, in high school, before all the music, I was, my cousin got me on at Wendy's. I worked at Wendy's for like 6 months. I left Wendy's, went to McDonald's for about 6 months, left McDonald's and went to Wal-Mart for about 3. And all that was before 21.
Any of those jobs tough?
Nah. Fast food was way too much for the little amount of money that they're trying to pay you. Walmart was Walmart was fine. I worked in the TLE. I had to quit that because I was on payroll at the time for a record company, and they wanted me to fly out to their state and work hands-on with their artists. And I was like, man, you got to pick up the slack of what I'm making at Walmart plus what you already giving me. And he did it, and that was the last time I ever had a job.
Any crazy stories dealing with any of those jobs you mentioned? Anything that happened out of the norm?
Not too crazy. I hit my boss with a box of fries on accident. Blacked the eye.
Blacked eye? From
yeah.
Oh.
She an old lady too.
Oh, like a cold box of fries?
Yeah, I was coming out the freezer with it on my shoulder. You ain't supposed to carry him like this, and I turned around and hit her dead in the eye. Big black eye.
Pretty rough.
She was a grouchy old lady, so kind of I was like the hero at work, but.
Did you quit these jobs? Did you get fired from these jobs? What ended up happening?
I quit Wendy's to work at McDonald's. I quit McDonald's to work at Walmart. I quit Walmart to work for the record company. Mm-hmm.
Now, are both parents still in your life? Do you have good
Very
relationships
so.
with both?
Yeah. My dad's a totally different person now. We have a very, very, very close relationship. Me and my mom have a very close relationship. All the kids are down here now. They ain't kids no more, but my brothers and sisters, we all in the same spot. Back in the past, we were all scattered all over the U.S., but now we all in the same spot. It feels good.
So did your father kick the drinking habit?
He'll drink him a little beer, but it's not like how it used to be. Yeah.
How did he stop? How did he kick it? For the most part, how do you?
Probably the fact that we got taken away. Mm. We were put in foster care and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I think it was probably the last straw for my dad. But once we moved down here, once we moved to Mississippi from Oregon, my dad kind of winged off of the hard liquor. He pretty much drank beer.
How much time did you have to do in foster care?
I did. I was in there 8 months.
Okay.
They separated me from my siblings, though. I was the only one. They went to old cool foster home. They had horses, and my sister had my little brother. My little brother had my sister. I went to some old people on the other side of town that were mean as hell. It was like going to jail, man. I had to stay there for like 8 months.
I've heard people say foster care system kind of feels like jail, or could be an analogy for jail.
Mm-hmm. I was in and out some boys' homes, and just like I said, a lot of things I went through just made me click out a lot.
Now, how'd you get out of foster care? Is that when your grandmother or your father took custody back of you? Is that what happened? Or?
Yeah, I think my mom got custody back of me. Yeah, my mom got custody. How did I get out of foster care? It was so long ago. That's what it was, though. I think my mom, they took us because how my dad beat me.
Oh.
So they took one time I went to school where I had, I don't want to tell everything on camera, but it was a bad situation when I got to school, and they immediately took all the kids.
Yeah, it was pretty noticeable where authorities had to come in. And this was when you had moved to Mississippi?
No, this before.
Oh.
This before my dad came back in the picture. You see what I'm saying? I was young, man, 7, 8 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was real young. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just to refresh the timeline, you're with your parents at about 7, and then that's when the incident happens.
The incident with my stepdad happened probably about, they got a divorce probably about when I was about, I want to say 8, somewhere around there.
So give me the timeline. So you're with your parents, then this happens.
I'm with my parents. This happened. This ultimately made my mother leave her marriage because of how I was getting treated in the house. And so she left. I was probably every bit of, I want to say, about 7 years old.
Then the foster care situation happens.
The foster care situation happens, yep. The foster care situation happens.
And then your mom gets custody of you back, so you're out of foster care.
And then she got remarried.
And then the stepdad situation happened.
Right.
And then after that, you moved to Mississippi with the grandma. Mom's in New Mexico kind of doing her own
She was
thing.
in Oregon at the time.
Oh, right. But then eventually came to New Mexico. And then your dad got back in the picture.
Dad got back in the picture. He actually, my mom flew him out to Oregon December of 1995. And it was really just supposed to come get me, but he ended up taking everybody back with him.
Now, let's say there's somebody watching this, and they're kind of like a kid in your shoes, and they're getting beat by a parent. What's the advice there? Obviously, it came to a point where people noticed the abuse happening in school to call the authorities and make something happen. But what do you tell somebody that's in a similar situation that has to deal with that? What's the advice there?
For a kid, it's not too much you could tell them, but to try to hold on, you know, I definitely know kids that would probably beat worse than me, you know. It's just...
Sure.
It's not too much to tell them, man. You just tell them to hold on, and you know, God changes people, man. God changed my father, you know, and you know, we've been straight ever since.
I mean, do you wish you would have been this problem would have been found out before, you know, authorities had to get involved? Like, could this big black eye or whatever you had could have been prevented if it was caught sooner, or wouldn't have made a difference?
I wouldn't. I don't ask for changes, man. I kind of roll with it because I believe that all that is what builds who you are. You see what I'm saying? So however it plays out, you know, you can hope that you never got hit, but you never know what making you the strong person who you are. You know what I'm saying? So you got to go through something to get somewhere.
I see. Now, it sounds like you've been through a lot, but in regards to your parents, what's the worst thing you put them through?
Oh, man. I was just a bad kid, man. Just, I don't even know how to put my finger on it, man. I was just doing little petty bad stuff, like shooting out people's windows coming home from school, BB guns, cussing out my teachers, leaving school, stealing stuff from the stores, and just, you know, just acting out, snapping, trying to fight, you know, anybody who says anything wrong to me. And I know it would have been a lot for a parent, you know, to raise somebody like me, but I think it was I was a product of my environment at the same time.
As far as your siblings, you had a couple siblings. Where are you on the ladder, though? Are you towards the oldest, the middle, the youngest?
I got a younger brother, and then both of my sisters are older than me.
So in the middle there. Anybody else in your family does music, or just you?
My brother's a major gospel musician and producer, songwriter, singer, like all that. He's worked with some of the biggest names in the gospel industry that you could think of.
Have you guys?
To the smallest.
Have you guys collabed?
Yeah, all the time. He helps me out a lot. I help him out a lot.
Now, what does your family think about your music career?
They're very proud of me. I inspire a lot of my family. We got other family members that have record labels and stuff like that, you know, and they doing successful too, you know. So I believe they proud of me.
Parents supportive?
Yep.
Were they supportive right away of the music career,
Yeah.
or did they have to warm up to it?
I used to play the keyboard outside, loud as hell, and the whole town could hear it. My brother did it more than me, but my grandma said we used to drive her crazy, but she never told us to go inside, cut that racket off. Not one time did she ever stop us from doing it. She just, now she'll tell us, now that we're grown, man, y'all used to get on my nerves so bad. But she never did tell us to go inside. Now,
we spoke about a variety of subjects in regards to your upbringing, but overall speaking, What's your message to the youth? What would you tell them today?
Don't settle. Never settle. Find a place to reach for, and keep reaching till you touch it. That's basically what I can tell them.